Oh, man. Oh, man. What is this team? I need someone to spell it out for me. Like, what the hell is this team? I just can't believe it. I mean, I honestly, like, you guys heard me at the end of yesterday's stream. I was joking around about, I got a plan about how we're going to be talking about a loss to the Cavaliers, fully believing we were going to smoke the Cavaliers because I thought this Celtics team was good enough to do that. But no, for the majority, honestly, the end score there, 117-110, I feel like makes it look like the Celtics played better than they did. That game could have been easily just a handily win by the Cavs. And, I said it last night about Tristan Thompson. I'm going to say it again. I don't want the we didn't have Kemba, we didn't have Tristan excuse. The team that went out and played tonight was sure as shit good enough to beat the Cavs. But we're looking at another loss. Another frustrating loss. Everything's fine, guys. Everything's fine. We're not going crazy. We're chilling. But welcome to the Celtics Live postgame show. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and like this stream. You guys have been killing the like button live on stream, so let's keep doing that. If you're watching right now, please hit that like button. If you're watching on Periscope, I'm going to ask you guys to please head over to YouTube. I just tweeted out the link and subscribe and watch over there. That's where these streams are going to be, predominantly being held moving forward. We're live here after every single Celtics game, so subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are here reacting to a tough loss to Cleveland. We might as well just get right into the box score. So let's get to the Manscaped read before we do so. Guys, we're presented by Manscaped tonight. If you've been sticking around and you're a loyal stream viewer, Manscaped is where it's at for your personal grooming needs. Celtics Live will save 20% off and free shipping over on manscaped.com. Use that code Celtics Live. Support the stream. Now let's get into a box score that, again, I think the final score, that 117-110, makes it look like and honestly, they obviously should have beat the Cavs, but that final score makes it look like the Celtics played a little bit better than they did. They obviously turned it on at times, but the same thing with the box score. Like, again, I see Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and then Marcus Smart, Robert Williams played well, but like, why isn't this result in a win? Well, I guess the easiest way to answer that is because outside of those four guys, you had no one sniff the rim or no one sniff tickling the twine with the basket. Crazy. Daniel Tice, 25 minutes. I've never seen so many zeros in a box score before. Seriously. He's literally saying Daniel Tice center. Oh, he's just singing a lyric to a song. So many zeros there. He's a minus. Jaylen Brown, obviously, 28-4. Jason Tatum with 29-5. Pretty much all of that in the second half. But I want to call attention to one thing, too. Obviously, we gave the shout out to Robert Williams there. 14 rebounds for him. 5 offensive. Another game, and I know it doesn't work like this, guys. And we're getting to the chat. I see you guys absolutely flying on the chat. I know it doesn't work like this, but another game, if we made our free throws, it's a win. But I don't even want to go to that cop-out. Like, you should be able to miss every free throw you take and still beat this Cavs team if the Celtics are as good as we want them to be. But let's get into some of the chat. I know the chat's going to be flying tonight. Always is after losses, but I'm going to ask you guys again, please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We read all chat, or at least do our best ability to do so. But, let's get into the chat here. Gabe says, most frustrating team ever. It's a great way to put it. Just so frustrating. PP says, we're so trash. It's starting to be like that. Like, this team is quickly making a case to not even want to show up to the playoffs. It's so annoying. If the East wasn't so bad, I'd be way more worried. Abdul says, Brad needs to go. Yeah, Abdul, I mean, a change needs to happen. If they make a nice trade, something like that, sure. But at this point, we see, and I'm not on the Brad Stevens fire train. I feel like I always have to clarify that. But we've seen good coaches get fired before for a team underperforming. This team is underperforming, so we'll probably talk about that on the stream tonight. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I haven't said that yet. Usually we're only cracking open victory beers. Tonight we're cracking open a depressed St. Patrick's Day beer, so cheers to everyone that's having one with me. But we will give it a womp womp before we take our first sip. Greg says, I really want Tice gone before the deadline. Got us 0 points and brings no defensive ability. News says, moving from annoyed to angry. What a pathetic team. Yeah, I'm texting my dad during this, and he's like, he's got the old school basketball mentality. He's an ex-coach and whatnot, and he's saying, I can just picture his mind. He's like, these guys have no balls, no nothing, and I'm thinking to myself, it's so true. Like, you don't even have to be, a fan of old school basketball to see that anymore. That's the type of thing that, we could say older people would say about every team in the league right now. But the Celtics team is the definition of a team that is playing sackless, playing with no balls, no grit, no nothing. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Ubi saying, hey guys, dropping my 2 weeks notice. I will no longer be a Celtics fan and I'm seeking opportunity with the Hornets. Thank you for understanding. I'll say this, and I think I've said it multiple times on the stream. That's my second team right now. Terry Rozier, I'm not a huge LaMelo Ball guy, but I think he's proven me wrong. Gordon Hayward, they just have such a young, fun team. I know Gordon Hayward's not young, but that Hornets team is like my second favorite team right now. So if I didn't have the obligation to get on here and go live after every single Celtics game, I'd be right there with you, Ubi. Also, on that note, won't be here Friday. I think KJ is going to fill in for me, so just FYI. So that's why we got to hammer the likes today. This is the last of Ev for the week. Jesse says, oh, I'm just hate watching at this point. These guys aren't absolutely spectacular. There is that. We're all lying if we're saying that there's not this sort of like in the back of our head being like, just keep being bad, keep being bad. Not that we want that to be what actually, comes to the forefront, but it's almost comical at this point how much of like a predictable, frustrating, annoying, bad team this team is playing like. Taj is saying this is a mess. Islam saying I'll spell it out for you. We are ass. Tom is saying fire. Ace Ubi saying the season is chalked. Heat got better. Bucks got better. Bucks got PJ Tucker. Why do these obvious names come out and then the teams that compete with the Celtics, I would say compete in years previous, teams that the Celtics should be competing with, why do they make the easy move? It's crazy. Ron says Celtics have no energy, no character, no heart, no leadership. Spot on. Jason says, Part, I believe you. When it's over, it's over. Kevin saying, great game tonight, guys. Lottery pick, here we come. What's a lottery pick do for this team? Maybe a trade piece? I don't want another freaking 19-year-old on this team. We don't even play the ones we have. Lottery pick, I don't want a lottery pick. Oh, they're driving me nuts. Jesse says, I'm done blaming Danny. There's enough talent on this roster. This is Brad. This is coaching. I've said that multiple times. Obviously, and so I'm agreeing with you here, Jesse. It's a great point. There is enough talent on this team to beat a team like the Cavs or beat a team like the Knicks, Pelicans, Pistons, Wizards. This team, even with a couple injuries here and there, should be good enough to beat these teams. That's why I don't put these losses on Danny. Danny Ainge, obviously, if we're going to win a championship, he needs to make moves. This team isn't good enough. That much is sure as hell clear. But to beat the Cavs, to not blow a 30-point lead against the Pelicans, to beat the Pistons, to beat the Wizards, the Knicks, all of these crap losses the Celtics have, they have a good enough team. They just haven't done it. Kellen saying, we are in trouble. Ubi saying, if Tatum and Brown are truly stars, we wouldn't lose that game, but they're not. I don't know if they're there yet. I think Tatum is. But Jalen disappears for a little bit, but Tatum did his own disappearing act tonight, so I can't even really say that on two strong legs. Always says, I've never seen Aaron Nesmith and John Cena in the same room, just saying. Fighter saying, Danny's not doing anything. I can see the future. It's probably a damn good prediction. That's just going off of what's happened in the past and, thinking it's going to repeat itself because it's like we're watching teams. We officially started watching teams that we, guys that we could get, teams pick them up, like PJ Tucker. Greg says, can't even use that button for Grant tonight. He got some good offensive rebounds, wasn't great, but seemed like he was trying other than the Jays and Robert Williams. Yeah, I'm not mad at Grant Williams tonight. This is an overall Celtics want button. I know it's usually for Grant Williams, but, Grant Williams I wasn't thrilled with tonight, right? 16% from the floor, missed his three, wasn't thrilled with him. But if we are jumping to, and I'm not saying anyone in here is jumping to this, but if we're saying Grant Williams is the problem tonight, we got to look ourselves in the mirror. Grant Williams is just another, out there tonight, and it's not his fault. Like it's usually when these games are close or winnable, and maybe he does something to mess up that I'll rag all over him. But this wasn't a Grant Williams bad game. It was just a Grant Williams okay game, and he was nothing out there to me. Always says, scratch that. I've seen Aaron Nesmith or John C. I've never seen either. Ubi says, I was watching the game. There's 5 minutes left, down 6. I thought to myself, they're going to start jacking up threes. Aren't they? And guess what they did? They did it. Skipping ahead in the chat just a little bit. You guys already, do I even read chat tonight? Trust me. I love the chat. Trust me. You guys are killing me. My reading level has gone from when we started these streams, probably from like a second grade reading level, right? To like, I might as well get my doctorate at Harvard. I read these chats so fast. All right. FIFA saying, I'm beginning to question why I'm staying up till 3 a.m. to watch this team. Love from the UK. Guys, man, that's a true fan because, again, I'm questioning, and I have the obligation to do the postgame. I'm questioning why I'm watching these games. It's crazy that you're doing that, man. Shout out to you. Guys, I'm going to say again, we're seeing a lot of new names in the chat tonight. Head over to YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. We got, a decent amount of subscribers after last stream, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the stream. You guys have been killing the likes live on stream lately, so we will sure as hell take that. But if everyone's in the stream right now and you don't like this, 3 things, right? You either hate me, you like the Sixers, or you're a Kyrie Irving fan. If you're not one of those, I don't know why you're not liking the stream right now. I will say, and at this point, I just watch these games to enjoy Rob's consistent progress. Yeah, that's fair enough. Maddie's saying, happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone out there. Nature says, the guy who isn't a Celtics fan, I don't understand why our GM is reluctant to make moves. That's interesting, right? Because we always say, and I always think people are either being too hard on Danny or being too defending of Danny. But you're a third party there, Nature. And you're saying, why not make a move? And honestly, move, such a broad term. Get a PJ Tucker. You know what I mean? You don't have to give up anything to get that guy. We're not asking to trade the house and go get someone. Just get someone. Make a move. M-O-V-E. Greg says, when we played the Kings next, I feel like we always lose or play really well or close to them. I see a loss for that game. I'm hoping. I mean, honestly, you'd think, oh, man, the Celtics are going to win that game, right? Because they're going to come back with a vengeance, and they're going to be ready to play and, shove it down the Kings' throat. When have we seen that this year? Ian says, how crazy is it to think that the Hornets are higher seed in the standings than the C's right now? The team's made up of former Celtics misfits and rookies and is playing better than us this year. Yeah. Ray says, why do people sweat Marcus Smart? He's only good for defense. Why do people sweat Marcus Smart? He's only good for defense, which means he's garbage. Daniel Tice, garbage. Brad Stevens, rotations, garbage. Grant Williams, garbage. Our team, garbage. This team does have a lot of garbage. I don't think anyone can deny that. Tiffany's saying, and who are we going to get instead of Brad? This is the thing. Hey, I can body bag the who are we going to get instead of Brad. I've said it over and over in these streams, right? I don't want to fire Brad Stevens. But the who are we going to get instead, that argument has been put to bed. Who cares who we get instead of Brad Stevens at this point? What has Brad Stevens done this year compared to years past where you're like, oh my God, that's a special coach. That's a special coach. He has something no one else has. I think we all got to ask ourselves that. Again, I don't want to fire Brad Stevens. I'm willing to stick it out. I think that, he does have a lot of positive attributes about him. And, it's just sort of to keep the consistency. Consistency, that's a tough word to use nowadays. But I'm done with the who are we going to get instead of Brad. Like, who cares? You throw any of us in the stream right now, we can do the same thing as Brad. Now, I know people are going to jump up. Oh, no, you can't. Brad's such a good coach. I get it. He probably is. But in terms of me watching the games, in terms of you guys watching the games, I have not seen Brad Stevens outcoach another coach in I don't even know how long. JC saying tank season? I don't think so. I don't think we tank. Lance says, I'm not sure it makes the Bucks that much better. They have no backup point guard now. Yeah, but the one thing is, it doesn't make them it doesn't make them worse. And it takes a guy off everyone else's target list. I'm not saying it makes the Bucks. PJ Tucker doesn't put the Bucks a head and shoulders above every other team in the league. But what it does is it shows that they're making a move. They're trying something. They're trying to do something. Stiz is saying, so sick of the driving kicks to Grant Williams and Marcus Smart. Knight saying, I'm upset with the loss. IDK, why Neesmith and Preacher got less minutes than Semi and Teague. Yeah, if this team's going to stink, why not play these young guys? We've started to do it with Robert Williams. What did Neesmith do? Did he disrespect Brad Stevens' family? Like, why isn't he playing? Tiffany says, this team is not listening or caring about Brad. They just seem dead. But that's a knock on the coach. It is. I don't want to fire Brad. I'll say it over and over again. You might think I'm playing two sides here. I don't want to fire Brad, but this is why Brad's such a bad coach right now. I want Brad Stevens to get better. I want him to be the guy that becomes the coach. We asked Jaylen Brown. We asked Jason Tatum. We ask all these guys and hold them accountable to get better and better and better. Why is Brad Stevens the same coach, if not a worse coach, than he was 4 years ago? Abdul saying he's getting out-coached every game. News says 60 years ago today, God brought Danny Ainge into this world. Which one of you was pissing off God 62 years ago today? Fab saying we're just an average team, can run with the big boys, but can't hang with them. It's a good way to put it. It is. It is. That's like the calm way to put it. The team's just not at that level yet. We'll be saying this defensive scheme is so bad, one person drives the entire team, turns their back every single night, and they hit the three. CS saying the entire Cleveland roster took a total of 74 shots. JT and JB and Smart 61. They got open shots. They get contested fall-away jumpers and three-pointers. We need a facilitator. Mayhem saying, I've been here for about a month and never commented or anything. What's good, Ev? Braz isn't listening, isn't lighting a fire into this team. Mayhem, if you've been here for a month, make sure to drop in the chat. I'm glad that you broke the wall and jumped into the chat. Guys, anyone that wants to comment, I do my best to read comments. I obviously have to skip ahead just to stay recent at some points, but I'm glad you're commenting. Tough loss, but I'm glad everyone's commenting, and make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel if you're watching. Afzal saying, as someone who's not a Celtics fan, I feel like Danny Ainge is the second time we're getting this, isn't ambitious enough, and he's way too cheap in giving up our draft picks. They don't need these draft picks anymore, too. That's why I wish he said, yeah, here, have them. Like, they don't need these draft picks. So annoying. Knight saying Neesmith can be a Buddy Hield type of player for our bench, but Brad never sets plays or any ISO or pick and roll. Awful defensively, help way too much. I know I botched that comment. My bad, but we're moving on. That's not your fault. It's me. It's not you. It's me. Gears says, I don't think Marcus Smart is untouchable, to be honest. I don't think he's untouchable, but I don't think he's the problem in this team. Like, I don't know if... Guys, I'm serious. I don't know if you move anyone that holds any sort of value to this team in a trade for something. I would much rather give up junk and get what, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Let's try and find some other team's trash or some other team that's selling low on some of these guys. I don't know if you trade Robert Williams or trade Marcus Smart to try and get like marginally better, because this team needs a lot more than that. Teams take on their coach. This is coming in from Jason. Teams take on their coach's personality. Look at New York and Coach Thibodeau. Look at Phil. I say it all the time, too. Philadelphia has become one of the best teams in the league. And I think it's because of Doc Rivers. Yeah, they added some pieces and whatnot, but Doc Rivers, all he had to do was tell Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, guys, there's enough to go around for both of you. And how much, beef have we heard between those guys? None. Coaches matter, especially when you have a young team like the Celtics. I hate it. We call it out all the time. That some of the bigger accounts on Twitter being like, oh, Brad Stevens, they need to motivate. What does that matter? No, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. No. I'm fine with if you want to say he's not the majority shareholder. I don't agree with you, but fine. But to say Brad Stevens is getting off scotch, like to say that he has no impact on the game and it's not his fault that they're playing like this is just it's just stupid at this point. You are stupid if you don't think Brad Stevens is a contributing factor to why this team's playing poorly. Tony saying, when is he going to get fired? I have no idea. Lance is saying, we take terrible threes and then can't defend the perimeter. Once we start driving the lane, they are better. Maddie saying, it's been a while since it's been on. Yeah, I know, but you're back. Gear says, Neesmith should not be coming in after Carson, especially if Carson's going to play 3 minutes. Why play Carson Edwards if you're going to play him 3 minutes? And it's like, I don't know. And he came in early. That's the thing. It's like, that shows me that Brad Stevens hasn't figured out this rotation yet because he's just trying things. We're past the All-Star break, and this guy's still trying things. And I'm not saying, like, maybe this will work. Let's try and play this guy a little bit more. No, he's still being like, hey, that guy didn't play. That guy hasn't played in 2 months. Let's try and bring him in and see what he can do. Ugh, it's so frustrating. Kellen says, Tice blows, Semi blows, Grant blows. I can't stand this team. Greg says, I really think the Celtics should sign Rondé Hollis-Jefferson. I can see him being a good rotation piece. As a free agent, could sign him for cheap. Yeah, I think we talked about him with Isaiah Thomas, too. That's a guy that I think should have a job. That'd be good. Because then you don't have to trade anything. It's just a money play and not going to demand that much money. I would definitely take him, but I'm surprised no one has. Lance says, at this point, I don't want to make a big move. We can't compete for the top 3 anyways. Let's see what the offseason brings. I'm in that boat. You guys know that. I'm not on the let's make a huge move train. What I'm on is that let's not just throw this season away. Let's try and get a little bit better. Let's add a couple pieces here and see what we can do, because I think that benefits the Jays. If they can be part of winning basketball as much as possible, I think it's good for the long term. Jason says, since last year, every team improves, but Boston with no moves. Yep. I'm skipping ahead just a little bit here. Ian saying, Perk and Mark Jackson. I swear to God, I haven't had that many of these. Let's try it again. Perk and Mark Jackson have to be a couple of the top guys. At EK, how you don't go with a former player with a similar coaching style at Doc at this point. It's clear nearly an X's and O guy doesn't work with this core. And guys, it's not like we're just hypothesizing anymore, right? Jason Tatum literally said on an interview with JJ Redick, he said, yeah, no, Brad isn't a motivator at all. He's an X's and O's guy. And he talked about Coach K being the motivator. Now, that would be okay if we didn't believe Jason Tatum needed a motivator. But you can't watch this stretch of Celtics basketball and tell me that these young guys don't need a motivator. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be fire Brad Stevens, get a guy like Doc Rivers. What if you just have Brad Stevens, you get some sort of like, okay, we can go in two directions here. Add assistant coaches that motivate. I'm not too big on that. But you could add some sort of grit to this team or beef up this team a little bit and maybe light the fire in Jason Tatum, light the fire in Jaylen Brown. And then all of a sudden they're playing with that motivation and you don't necessarily need it from the coach. Do I think it would be beneficial to just get directly from the coach? Is it easier? Could you do it like that? I think you can, but clearly he's not going to do that. Kevin's saying by the end of the season, you'll be subscribing to the Fire Brad Stevens YouTube channel. Hey, I've been talked into plenty, right? You know, like I'm close to the trade, be okay with trading Kemba. I'm not saying he's untouchable, but I'm still not on the trade him. I've been talked from, nope, I'm not going to fire Brad Stevens, to, okay, you know, I don't want to fire him, but I want him to get better, to, I don't care who replaces him, you know, if they fire him. And I'm getting pretty close to saying, screw it. If you need a change, guess what? There's a way to do it. And the way to talk yourself off the ledge of, oh my God, what if they fire Brad Stevens? What's the big deal? It happens hundreds of times. You know, it's happened thousands of times in history. Teams fire their coach, they get a new one, and regardless who that coach is, I don't care what anyone says. In a few years, we'd forget that Brad Stevens, you know, really was that big of a deal. Just like Doc Rivers, we'd probably still love him to be the coach. Do we really, really think every day when we wake up, I can't believe Doc Rivers isn't the Celtics coach anymore? No, you move on. But I'm still not there yet. Kellen says he's the most calm coach ever. He says he needs to grow some balls. Yeah, Brad Stevens clearly uses Manscaped, and I have to thank him for that because he's got some hairless balls. And he's got them cleaned up real nice. Celtics Live on manscaped.com will take 20% off your order and free shipping. Guys, it's a way to support the stream. You guys are always asking, you know, I don't have like a donation button or anything. The way to support the stream is, you know, going through these sponsors like that or just heading over to GuyBostonSports.com/store. It's in the description of the video. You could pick up some merch. We do have, I should say it, we do have a 20% off code for St. Patrick's Day. It's just St. Patty's. So STPATTYS. No apostrophes, no periods, anything like that. St. Patty's with the link in the description. The Boston Sports Store will take 20% off your order. So a couple of ways to get a little discount here. See, I'm showing out for you guys. Ray's saying this is sad. We lost to a group of bums and it makes us bigger bums. Yeah. Hey, I mean, you can't deny that right now. Mayhem says, I don't get why Brad doesn't get on them to cut, take easy shots. I don't know if he's the guy to get Tatum and Brown to wake up. He needs to do something. And I thought Marcus Smart was going to come back and do that. But Marcus Smart, I know it's only a couple games, so I'm not ready to chalk up and say, oh, Marcus Smart, you know, hasn't made the impact. I thought Marcus Smart being out was a huge indicator or a reason for them going on that bad stretch. We've seen him back now for a couple games, and he's still, they're still playing poorly. So I don't know, maybe give a little bit of time, but I thought Marcus Smart was going to be that, hey, you better get your ass in gear, pal. But we haven't seen it yet. News says if it wasn't for the stream, I would have shut it down for the season. Thanks, Ev. I'll send you my therapy bill. Yeah, you'll get the invoice. But guys, yeah, I mean, same thing. Like this stream to me, even though, you know, I'm on the mic hosting, reading your comments, it's just as much, you know, the reliant, or not reliance, but the feel of, okay, we're going to get through this game, and then we're going to bitch and moan like the spoiled brats Celtics fans we are on the stream together. So I'm glad that you guys tune in. It gives me more of a reason to watch these god-awful Celtics games, but love it. Pork is saying Terrence Ross or Evan Fournier would be a nice smaller move. I'd love Terrence Ross, honestly. News says my balls get sweaty. I don't know any good products. We just talked about it. Yep. Mark is saying we need to break this team up as we speak. It's the worst Celtics team I've ever seen. The worst. Hey, someone celebrating St. Patrick's Day, because that was not that was not me messing up the chat. That was me reading the teleprompter like I like to do. But it is like, it's not the worst Celtics team I've ever seen, and probably not you either. That might be an overreaction, but what I can give you, man, is that this is a team that when we talk about Celtics needing trades, this is a team that needs a trade, like needs a trade. Dean says Cavs attacked and scored the paint consistently. Guards can't keep anyone in front of them. Plus, they can't make any free throws. The free throws were a huge issue. And I said, you know, and I know it doesn't work like this, but if they made all of their free throws tonight, they win that game, technically, mathematically speaking. Greg says the last season trade was the Isaiah Thomas trade. Like, how have we made any moves in literal years? Yeah. Nature saying, you remind me of when I watched the Patriots last season. Jack Daniels helps a lot. I was thinking about whipping it out. I got the Tito's out there in the kitchen. I was thinking, okay, But then I talked myself off. I was like, all right, if this was a Friday and this game was that frustrating, that bottle might be gone and smashed over my head by stream's end. But I had to digress. I said, okay, you know what? Let's just crack open a beer. It's St. Patrick's Day. We'll keep it chill. Chill. Jason said, I told you Nate Oakes would be the next big name in coaching. For 2 years now, Brad's got to go. Didn't even burp. I burped. Ian says, at this point, C's fans should be praying that Indiana offers Brad Stevens the head coaching job and Danny Loki lets him go instead of firing him. It's a perfect setup for both to move on without any heat. That'd be nice. That would be very, very nice. Jenny says, do you see us trading Kemba? I hope not. I don't think they're going to trade Kemba. And even though people don't like the way Kemba's playing, even though they probably want Kemba traded, I think it's going to be too hard to trade Kemba. With the money, with what you'd have to be, trading with him in terms of his injuries and whatnot, I don't think Kemba Walker leaves this team. And that's just my take. I've said that all along. I really don't think that they're trading Kemba. So if you hope not, Jenna, then I think that you're probably in luck. Because I'm in the same boat. I think Kemba, I'm ready to ride out all year. Kellen says, we suck so bad, Nike should take our shoes away. Yeah, we go back to like the Shaq brand shoes or something. Ray says, I heard Mike Tyson is looking for a coaching job. Maybe he can replace Stevens. Maybe we don't want to go too full on, like, let's scare this team, right? We just want to light a fire in their ass. Let's see. Abdul saying Danny should trade Kemba for PP and Sexton. Kemba and PP for Sexton. Dean says, Ev, we need to roll with wins over this upcoming schedule. Rattle off 5 in a row, but they lay an egg. We knew it was coming, right? Yeah. I'm not confident in this team right now. You shouldn't be. If you are, oh my God, I'm so jealous of you. But as someone that's wearing green, has Celtics memorabilia, a green light in the background, I'm not confident in this team, so I can't imagine you guys are. Lance says, the team's not that bad. They're just really inconsistent. But not that bad doesn't win or get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I can agree with that. This team, they have issues, right? But they should still. This team should be able to beat the Cavs, should be able to beat the Wizards, all those bad teams I named earlier. So I'll give you that. They're not that bad. Are they playing bad? Yeah, that's where you bet your ass they are. Like, no one can watch us and be like, they're doing just as good as they can. You know what I mean? No. I'm not saying you're saying that either, Lance. Tiffany said they need another scorer. That I can totally agree with. Do you know how much? Think about those guys in the Jazz, right? It's a great point, Tiffany. Think about those guys in the Jazz. They come off the bench, shoot 37 to 40% from 3. Jordan Clarkson, I mean, imagine if we had him. That guy was rolling around ready to get out of the league a couple years ago. All he's been is like a ball hog his whole career. I remember liking him when I think he was either rookie or second-year player in LA. But think about if the Celtics just had something like that. Not a sixth man, full-fledged sixth man of the year candidate, but a guy like a Joe Ingles or someone that comes off the bench and can make big shots, make offense happen around him. That'd be amazing. But they don't have that. The Celtics roll out Grant Williams, Javonte Green, Semi Ojeleye. Those are who they bring in times of desperate need of scoring. Jason says some guy on Twitter is talking about Grant Williams was a high basketball IQ. I don't believe that. Has a high basketball IQ. He probably has a high basketball IQ, but isn't that overrated? Like, you think Robert Williams has a high basketball IQ? Let's be completely honest. Do you think Robert Williams really has that high of a basketball IQ? I'm not saying he has a low one, but do you think he has a high basketball IQ? Probably not high, right? But what can he do? Impacts a game by making these plays that he's been making. His basketball IQ is probably getting higher, but that basketball IQ is overrated if you're not a point guard in my mind. Ubi saying the Celtics have the second easiest schedule in the league, so we got to go on a streak. Yeah, I mean, you would have thought that they'd be able to pull this one out, so I'm not confident in anything. News says no way either Brad is our coach or Danny is our GM this summer. One of the two will be gone. We'll see. I feel like Wick is just going to be loyal to these guys. I don't know. Brad saying we need another player to step up and be a leader. We need leadership. Who's the alpha on the team? No one has that personality. And guess what? Before I even read the rest of that, if you don't have that personality as a player, you know where that personality just by default has to go? Mister. Yeah, keep getting back on defense. I'm seeing a lot of good stuff out there, guys. It has to go to the coach. If you don't have the alpha as the players, you have to have it as a coach. And they don't have that either. But you say everyone on the team has a passive personality unless the ball's in their hand. Dean says, looking on the bright side, March Madness starts tomorrow. That is true. Marcus says, what happened to the Celtics, Pride? We look like the worst team in the NBA today. We're not going nowhere, my brother. Yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere. Greg says, would you trade Jalen and Kemba for Westbrook and Beal? I want to say no, but you guys know how much I love Bradley Beal. I mean, maybe not, because what, does Beal have like 4 or 5 years on Jalen? I don't know. That's such a tough one. Because, yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you do that trade? Jalen and Kemba for Westbrook and Beal. I'm almost saying, like, if I'm level-headed, I say no because I'm ready to play the long con and long game with this team. But I'm so frustrated with this team, it's making me think yes. Got me at a vulnerable time, Greg. Ian says, what seed does this need? This team need to finish so Danny doesn't make any moves at the deadline? 7th, 8th. At what point? Are they going to be playing in the play-in tournament? Long way from the conference finals. They are so far from the conference finals. So far. Jason says Boston trade Sexton to Cleveland. You know what's funny that people don't realize? And I just realized this too. You guys might know this. You know what's super, super funny? Is that the Celtics technically traded Sexton to Cleveland. That was the pick, right? That went in the Kyrie trade with Isaiah? How about that? We don't have any of the players that were involved in that trade anymore, right? But Sexton's turning into a bright young star right before our eyes. Damn. Mo says, wouldn't mind Mike Tyson setting his tiger loose on Jeff Teague. Gabe says, trading Kemba would be so hard. If he was to get traded, we would only get worse. Yeah, I think if you traded Kemba, it would have to be like you're trading a horse for ponies. I keep saying that analogy on the stream, but I'm going to stick to it. Like, I think you might get a couple pieces, but I don't know if those ponies could ever really be the, what Kemba's peak would be. Ben says, I wish we played the whole game how we played after the Grant technical. Yeah, I mean, there was times where the Celtics finally were like, hey, let's do it. Let's play good basketball. And then poof, it went away. News says NBA Radio talked about how making a move for a shooting guard or a point guard that allows Kemba to move to a shooting guard. Fact is, Kemba can no longer pull a defense with him with no drive equals no space. Kemba is, I thought that was what was going to happen. When Jason Tatum was, obviously doing his thing and then Jaylen Brown took a step up this year, I thought Kemba was going to become a little bit more of an off-ball guy. We haven't really seen that. He's done a lot, obviously, with the ball in his hands, but it's going to be a tough transition for him. I do believe in that. I think I've said it on the stream before. I do think Kemba has the ability to play a little bit more off-ball, but still be the point guard. But you know what I mean? Like, give the ball to Smart or Tatum or Brown in terms of facilitating through, but we'll see. Jay says, Brad Stevens is terrible at team management, roster rotations. Rotations, he has none. He has no clue what he's doing. He's throwing the kitchen sink at the game and hoping something works out. He is. We can't deny that anymore. Carson Edwards plays in the beginning of the game 3 minutes and then doesn't see the floor again. That is a coach that has no clue what to do with Carson Edwards. And Carson Edwards is a fine example. I don't want to hear, well, Carson Edwards is not an impact player or anything. Well, then guess what? Brad Stevens, clearly he's testing the waters. At this point in the year, a coach cannot be dipping his toes in the water to see what temperature it is. Wongy's saying what got us back into the game was JB and JT driving to the basket, something that doesn't happen much anymore. Jaylen Brown actually in particular was just going to the hoop when they got it to 3 points or so. Ray says, I hate Celtics post-game interviews. All they say is, we just got to get better. Yeah, then play better. That's like Brad Stevens yesterday on the national broadcast. They said, what's going on wrong in this game against the Jazz? And he goes, there's a lot of iso ball out there. And then we just watched iso ball continue. It's like, if you just told millions and millions of people that that's the problem with this team. Sorry, Manscaped. Why didn't you do anything to stop it? I don't know. All right, where are we at in the chat here? The Celtics don't have an easy schedule. What does that mean? You can lose to any team on easy night. Lance says, Grant is a super smart kid who makes some really stupid mistakes. I think it would be a great role player, but the mistakes are frustrating. I don't know if, I got to give Grant the womp womp. I don't know if Grant's going to work out on this team. Like, he's a tradable guy in my mind, and I do think Grant Williams could be okay on some other team, but I just don't see why the Celtics would invest in him. I don't know. Maybe that's my bias. Jay says I'd keep JB in that trade. Ben says, if we were being honest, Brad was up off the bench yelling at players and refs this game, so I need a player to step up as leader. Yeah, okay. I saw it because you guys know I keep my eye on Brad now. I'll give you that he was up a couple times, but no, I'm not. Brad was not constantly up off the bench and yelling at players. There's so many times when something just so apparently was going wrong, Brad Stevens, typical arm cross on the side. So if you saw that, Ben, I'll give it to you because he was doing that, and he does do that sometimes. I think it's more or less, the point of that needs to be the vibe. Like Brad Stevens can't get up, yell at the ref one time, and then it's like, okay, you know what? He's good. He got into the game. He needs to have that sort of players need to look at him with that sort of authority figure of, he could yell at any time or something like that. So I know that he was up, and he does it every game. I don't mean to say Brad Stevens sits there with his legs and arms crossed and doesn't talk. He does. He gets up and yells sometimes, especially if there's a ridiculous call. He yells at the refs. We all know that. But is that really the vibe of Brad Stevens with the team? And again, I hate that I have to say it every single time. I literally say it every time I talk crap on Brad Stevens. I don't want to trade Brad Stevens yet. Ooh, that yet slipped in there. Do you guys hear that? Usually I'm like, I don't want to trade Brad Stevens, but this time I said I don't want to trade Brad Stevens yet. I don't know. Whoever said it earlier in the chat, maybe it's the truth. Maybe I'm getting whittled down here. Beal and Westbrook do not make them a contender right now. This is coming from Lance. They might be slightly better right now, but not a contender. Yeah, I think I'm going to lean towards not doing it, but I really love Bradley Beal. Ubi says Brad was being more vocal and active close to the end of the game. You're right. Yeah, he was. So close to the end of the game there. What if he did it all game? I don't know. Marcus says, I'm in a house full of Lakers fans all the way in the Bahamas. They're smiling at me all the way to the bank. I'm the only Celtics fan in the house. What do you do? Jeez, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you could do at this point. How can a Celtics fan stand up and be like, my team's better than your team if you have one of the teams, LeBron James, for Christ's sake. Jeez. Jay says, even if we get Barnes, Stevens isn't leading us to a championship over Brooklyn or Doc Rivers. Greg says, would you take, I love the would you rathers coming in from Greg tonight. Would you take Gary Trent Jr. from the Wizards? I think they said they would trade him for a second round pick for a tiny move or younger bench player. I would take him. I'd take him in a heartbeat. Maui says, if Greg Popovich came available, would you fire Brad then? Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's, I feel like that's tough because now you're taking a guy that is just like the creme de la creme and saying, like, would you take him over your coach who's struggling? So I think I would. I mean, does age matter in coaching that much? Because that's the only thing I could say. Like, Brad's obviously younger. He still has room to grow, but it's like still Greg Popovich, Ubi says the temperature is ice cold. Take your toes out, Brad. I'm skipping ahead just a little bit. Wongi says, I think JT and JB have outgrown Brad and his coaching style. JT and JB are arguably the best when playing ISO ball now, and that's not Brad's style, so something has to change. Something does have to change, but that doesn't mean Brad Stevens isn't the guy for the job. Brad Stevens, like I always say, he's got to improve. He's got to adapt. He's got to become a different coach, and that could actually result in, him continuing to be the coach and morphing with the Jays. So I think he's got a lot to do now. On his end. Lance says, this team has no floor leader. I agree with Ben. I thought it was Kemba or Smart, but it isn't. We have quiet stars and need a veteran who isn't afraid to confront them. Guys, it's a players' league. I understand that. If the Celtics had that floor leader or floor, I guess you'd floor authority figure, I keep using that verbiage, then yeah, you wouldn't need the coach to be that. But you don't just go trade for that guy. You don't trade for a guy that is that floor leader, and then because you traded for him, everyone on the team is now going to respect him. You know what I mean? So at this point, no matter who you trade for, no matter who you want to get, I think that job, because no one else is doing it on the team, it has to come down to the coach. It has to come down to him realizing that, hey, I got to step up. I got to lead this team. I got to show that I'm committed. I got to show them that they can follow my lead, so on and so forth. So yeah, if this team had what we've seen Marcus Smart do in the past, right? Or what we saw at the beginning of the year when Jason Tatum seemed like a silent leader type of thing. He's high-fiving, getting up for guys on the bench. Then you wouldn't need the coach to be that. But does no one realize that if they trade for a guy tomorrow, that guy doesn't just become the team leader or the heart of the team? They need that guy. He might not be on the team right now. Like you said, wish it was Kemba or Smart, but if it's not any of those guys, it's got to be the coach in my mind. It does. No one can convince me otherwise. Jay says, don't you think if we had Greg Popovich with the same roster, we'd be a top 3 seed in the East? Not the way some of these guys are playing, but I do think that they'd be playing better. Like I've said, I rag on Brad all day long. But there's still obviously some player responsibility here. Now, if you're going to tell me Greg Popovich would obviously, not have these guys playing the way they are, then I can get behind that. Buzzer saying, would you consider a trade for Andre Drummond? I wouldn't consider a trade, but if he gets bought out, I'd consider going after Drummond. I don't think I would pay Drummond's contract. I think Drummond as the player, if we want to take money out of it, I would definitely trade, a couple second-round picks. Maybe, I don't want to necessarily give up a young guy, but, who cares about the young guys on this team? I would take Drummond because I think he instantly becomes your beastliest big man, and anyone that says, he wouldn't fit this team and whatnot, how does a guy that's going to grab 20 rebounds not fit the team? That guy can fit on any single team. You don't need him to do anything else other than be a big guy down low and rebound. So I think I would. But again, the money is something that's there. News says you need to send Danny Ainge a Manscaped care package for his birthday. Sign the cards for the area where you used to have balls. Oh, man. More saying, I knew Stevens was weak when he never hacked Kyrie and he started his crap. He's not a great leader of men. I don't need the rest of the season to come to this conclusion. Greg Popovich would have gotten us to the finals last season. We all know this. That's coming in from Jay. Ubi says, I don't know if he's available, but Daniel House Jr. I think would help the team. That's a guy that I said, like, go after these Rockets guys. Daniel House, Ben McLemore. I know you guys rag on me when I say that name. Ben McLemore, Eric Gordon. I used to say PJ Tucker. You can get some of these teams in a very vulnerable state and just say, okay, you know what? Fine, take them. Take them. That's definitely a guy I would take. Ben says, I need players like Jason Tatum and Jalen to hold the rest of the team accountable. I'm in that boat. I kind of just got done with this rant, Ben, right? Totally agree. I can't disagree with that. But when they're not doing that, then where does that responsibility go? Then just because Jason and Jalen aren't doing it, it's not Brad's fault. You know what I mean? So that's where I come out. Would I love Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to be the clear leaders of this team? Yeah. Then I wouldn't need Brad Stevens to be the leader because we have those guys, and then we're at a point where it's a players' league. You don't need the coach, right? But these guys are 24 and 23 years old. If any team in the league needs a coach, it's the Celtics, and that's clear every game when we're watching. Ubi says throw anybody and everyone for Wood. I would love him. I wanted him to sign. Greg says, if LaMarcus Aldridge is bought out and he isn't a Celtics after, then I won't get and understand it. Especially when all these rumors are like they're the favorites to land him. That's a guy that they'd get for cheap if he gets bought out, right? They'd get him for cheap, see if he helps the team. I think he personally would. I think you might be able to go to him down low. I know he's having an off year. I know he's old as hell, but it's no risk to get him, especially if he's bought out. Marcus said, we need to fix the Celtics team for the playoffs come, or the team's not going anywhere. That's not Celtics basketball at all. Yeah, as of right now, if they keep playing like this, we're hitting at the womp womp. They keep playing like this, they change nothing. Nothing, no balls develop. They don't hit puberty. Yikes. Jay says, if we had Chris Paul instead of Kemba, we'd be better. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think people are too quick to forget some of these games that Kemba has really, really played well in. Games where Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or both have kind of, not played too well and Kemba's come up big. I get it that Kemba needs to be better. I get it. And Chris Paul's obviously a name where it's like, okay, that's a tough name to argue. But man, Kemba, like we saw all the same problems tonight and with Kemba's not on the floor. These aren't just like, like when guys are playing and whatnot. No, this team has something literally fundamentally wrong with them. That, one guy's name isn't jumping out and being like, oh, it's the problem. Kellen says, I like Larry Nance Jr. a lot. I'm from Wyoming and watched him in college when he went to Wyoming till now in the NBA. Swap Tyson in for a second round. Larry Nance would be way better for us. Yeah, I would take him. I think that they said he's not being traded, right? He even said it like when all those reports came out. I'd take him. And I don't even love him, but I'd take him. Ubi saying LaMarcus Aldridge going to the Bucks. You heard it here first. I'd hate that. Not even because LaMarcus is that good, but again, it's just another guy off the table. Ian says, I wouldn't do it. Big goal to get Jays and the Beal. Yeah, I think a lot of people wouldn't do this this Jaylen Brown and Jaylen Brown for Beal trade. I'll say this. If they did it, I don't think it would kill the Celtics. You know what I mean? I think I lean towards keeping Jaylen Brown and gambling that, you ride it out and it works, right? But if they did trade Jaylen Brown for Bradley Beal, I really don't think the Celtics would be like, oh my God, they wouldn't regret that deal. Do you know what I mean? Would you do it though? I don't necessarily think I jumped to that. Mao was saying if Drummond gets bought out, we could trade TT to Toronto and get Powell and re-sign Tyson, start Rob. Yeah, I've seen that thrown around. You could extend Rob too. That was part of the money thing there if they get rid of Tristan Thompson's contract. But I don't think Thompson's a problem on this team. What is he a trade piece? Sure. But I don't know about re-signing Tice. I love Tice for what he's been and even what he is, but I've said it over and over again, and I think people are crazy if they don't agree with it. Tice is going to go play and get decent money from another team. He's going to get decent money from another team, and we're going to completely forget about Daniel Tice. And that's coming from a guy that likes Tice. So it's, I don't know. Jay says, I think we could be more disciplined with a team like Doc Rivers. Yeah, discipline it's probably a good word to focus on here. This team needs a little bit of discipline. Would you take Kyle Lowry for Kemba? That's coming in from Wongi. I don't know. I'm so biased towards Kyle Lowry. I hate him, so I'd say no, but he probably would fit this team well, and he wouldn't, he's a facilitator, a leader, also can score too. He probably is better than Kemba right now, but I don't think I would do it just because I hate Kyle Lowry, I guess. Toronto's not trading. This is coming from Ubi, trading Powell. He just dropped 40. Jay's saying LaMarcus is probably going to Miami. Why wouldn't he come play in this? Why would he want to play in this meth? Yeah. Greg says, I would trade Smart, Kemba, and Tice and picks for Lowry, Powell, and Baines. Don't see them ever doing that, but that would be my offer. Jay says, Brad has constantly been outcoached this season. He has. Ubi says, replace Danny. Brad saying, this team is mirroring Stevens' personality. When watching the game and looking at their body language, you could tell You could tell if they're up 20 or down 20, or if this team just ran over if their team bus just ran over a puppy. Buzzer says, what's the best move for the Celtics to do to add more talent to the team? Go after multiple. If we're talking this year, go after multiple guys that don't have that sexy name. Go after multiple guys that you can build this team in different areas. Wing scoring, having reliable, maybe a bigger guard to be able to come off the bench. I know those aren't specific names, but I've said it over and over again. You don't need to go get the John Collins this year. You don't need to trade everything for Vucevic. Would that be nice? I would take it, sure. But if you really, really want to become a better team, one name isn't going to fix whatever the hell's wrong with this team. Michael's saying they don't look well coached. Well, we're going to end the stream pretty soon, guys, so last comments here. Make sure you are liking the stream and subscribed. Great stream tonight. I usually leave the stream smiling and whatnot. I mean, I'm not totally smiling, but it's always therapeutic and feel pretty good coming out of the stream. But Maui says, I feel like Tice is a power forward and start him and Rob for a while and see how it goes. Might as well try that. Brad, I tried everything else. I would do that in a heartbeat. Do it in a heartbeat. I've been a guy that's against the two big lineup, but if you gave me a two big lineup with Robert Williams in there, I would do it in a heartbeat. Greg says, ever try to trade for Marcus Morris back? I think that's a personality that they're missing, to be completely honest. News says, why do you go after multiple guys when you haven't used your TPE? Get your big name first. See, that's what I just don't necessarily agree with. And I do see the point, so I'm not saying you're completely off base here, News, but I think that you don't need to rush to use the TPE. Saying use the TPE first, I think that's the wrong thing to do. Get some of these guys, whether or not you eat into that TPE or not, that's a story for another day, a rant for another day. But you can use that TPE in this offseason, really be patient and figure out what to use with that. But you could get some of these cheap guys right now and build the team a little bit more, less rough around the edges, and then figure out your big splash. Because you get your big name first. You get Vucevic. He would be great here. I'd love him here. Great player. They're not winning a championship just by adding Vucevic. Because the minute they have to, now go to their bench scoring and their wing scoring, all those issues are still at play here. I don't think the big man issue is that big of a deal. I don't think their starting lineup's that big of a problem at all. I think they actually are pretty good 1 through 5. So to me, you don't get the big name first. You try and, not chalk away this season first, and then you can be a little bit patient going after that big name. But again, like I said, to start this, I can see why everyone wants to jump to the big name. I get it. Use the money towards that, especially if you're going after these smaller guys, and all of a sudden you're looking at your TP and you're like, it's almost empty, right? But, either way. Jay says, Brad's a rebuild coach in an underdog team. I don't think he's a championship level coach. Ubi says, Brad will never start Robert play Neesmith. He insulted both his moms, probably. Wangi says, would trading Tice or TP and not bringing in a center be risky? Totally, 100%. I don't think big men are the issue. Unless you're to get a stud big man, I don't know if it's that big of an issue. I think that this team, obviously, rebounding and blocking shots and rim protecting, all that. Almost, I was going to say all that, isn't that big of a problem, but it does ride a lot on these guys doing what they do really well. So they're not the most consistent guys, but I don't think big men's the biggest issue. Marcus said, we need to hold these guys accountable for their actions. We let them off the hook with ease. They get paid a lot of money for nothing. News says, I agree. I'm saying the TP this summer. I'm chalking the season as a waste. Then that's fine, okay? So I'm talking, News, okay. Completely get you now, because I'm only talking about not rushing to use the TP. If they're going to chalk this season, if they're really going to chalk this season, then it probably doesn't even make sense to try and get PJ Tucker-esque players. I just wish they weren't. All right, just a couple more comments here, then we're going to sign off for the night. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button before you leave. I know there's a couple out you that didn't. I can tell there's a few of you guys out there that haven't liked this stream, and that makes me really sad, because that means that you're a Sixers fan. It does. It means you think that Ben Simmons is better than Jason Tatum, if you haven't liked the stream. I bet Danny's coming from Ian. I bet Danny is still debating how big of a movie he's going to make based on their play leading up to the deadline. I think that will tell us what he's going to do. Either I'm going to be nothing or one move. which would, I guess, be smart, but I think he should have seen enough, right? If he really is calculating, okay, let me really look at this team and what they need, then I get it. But, and it's a big but, haven't we seen enough to say this team does need a trade? Jay says, all right, fellas, Patriots, at least the Patriots are back. I'm going to go get drunk. See you fellas later. I already crushed this one earlier. But Buzzer said, would it make sense to trade Langford for a good veteran? Yeah. I'm not sold on Langford. Could that bite me in the ass? Sure. But I don't necessarily mean like an old veteran, right? I think if you go and trade Romeo, put this just out there, ready? Romeo Langford for Terrence Ross type of thing. You know, you're not getting this like supreme veteran, like he's got the veteran status and all that, but you're getting a guy now that has experience, can do stuff that is clear and proven. Like I would do that type of thing. All right, last comment. Mom always said we should try and convince Evan Turner to play and get Gary Payton as our assistant coach to toughen up this team. Ben says I need played on the court to take losses like this personally. That would be nice. If this team could respond, I think that's what you're getting at too, be able to respond to these losses. Like when we saw them blow the lead to the Pelicans and then Mavericks and Nuggets, it's like, are they okay doing that? Do they have zero pride doing that? That's what's annoying. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. That's going to do it for tonight. If you're not subscribed, I've said it enough. I think I've plugged. You guys know I suck at plugging my show here, but I think I've said it a lot. Please subscribe to the channel and like the stream. I've done a pretty good job. We're getting better. But as always, thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring this, guys. One last call out to Manscaped. We have this till the end of the month, so Celtics Live is going to take 20% off and free shipping over on manscaped.com. Awesome products. They sent me a nice little care package here too as well, so I can personally say that these products work and they're awesome. But until next time, guys, hopefully, you know, and I think I mentioned it earlier in the stream, KJ, I believe, is going to be filling in for me on Friday, so I won't talk to you then, but we'll see you after that. And be nice to him, all right? Be nice to my man KJ. But yeah, be sure to stop by, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff, and we'll catch you in the next stream. Or the next one after that, like I just said. I'll give myself a womp womp for completely forgetting what I just said. But either way, guys, we'll catch you in the next one, and hopefully we're talking about a loss.